Dayenu, 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 Dayenu. There's a word that's been sitting with me lately, Dayenu. A word from my Jewish ancestry that translates to, it would have been enough. At first, it feels simple, almost too simple. But the more I sit with it, the more I realize how radical it actually is. Dayenu is traditionally sung during Passover as part of the Seder. It tells the story of liberation, the exodus from Egypt, and names 15 moments of divine support along the journey, being freed, crossing the sea, receiving guidance, finding structure, and receiving the teachings. And after each one, the same phrase is repeated, Dayenu. Even if that had been the only blessing, it would have been enough. And that idea disrupts something deep because most of us are not taught to think this way. We are taught to ask, what's next? What's missing? What else do we need before we can feel okay? But Dayenu invites something different. It asks us to pause and recognize that this moment, as it is, holds something sufficient. When I think about this through a clinical and somatic lens, I see how deeply we are conditioned into not enoughness, especially for those of us who come from lineages shaped by survival. Black, Indigenous, Jewish, different histories, but shared threads of displacement, resilience, and adaptations. When your ancestors lived in conditions where safety was not guaranteed, the nervous system learns to stay alert, scanning, preparing, and bracing. That pattern just doesn't disappear. It gets passed down. It shows up as always doing more, always striving, always feeling like something is missing. So gratitude is not always natural. It can feel unfamiliar, even unsafe. And this is where I feel so much power connecting across all of my ancestry. Because in Black and Indigenous traditions, gratitude has never been about ignoring hardships. It has been about holding on to connection in the midst of it, through song, through ceremony, through community. Not because life is easy, but because connection was necessary. In this way, gratitude becomes resistance, a refusal to be defined only by struggle, a way of saying, I am still here, I find beauty, I am still connected to something greater. And Dayenu carries that same energy. For me, this teaching feels like a bridge between my Jewish ancestry and my Black and Indigenous roots, between spiritual tradition and nervous system healing. It reminds me that healing is not always about reaching a final destination. It's about learning how to recognize the moments along the way. The breath you took instead of reacting, the boundary you set, the support you allowed. Allowing yourself to receive. The day you made it through, each one could be acknowledged as enough. So I've been practicing this in small ways. At the end of the day, or even a quiet moment, I ask myself, what happened today that mattered? Not in the big milestones, the small moments. Getting out of bed, taking a breath, choosing rest, saying no, asking for help. And after each one, I say, Dayenu, this would have been enough. Not as a way to stop growing, but as a way to allow my body and my brain to register what already is. Because when we never acknowledge what we have, the nervous system stays in pursuit. It never gets settled. Dayenu is not about settling, it's about recognizing. Recognizing that even the incomplete, imperfect moments, there is something here that supports you. Something here that matters. Something here that is enough. And for me, this teaching brings hope. Hope that healing doesn't have to be all at once. Hope that meaning exists along the way. Hope that even the small moments can carry us forward. Dayenu.